Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear center and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so again, I just have so much information coming in. I really don't want to do videos. But I always do them when I am drawn to do them, when I'm guided to do them. So I'm going to start this video with just a continuation of a little bit more information on how I clear my energy and connecting to the higher self. And I always, when I do readings, sometimes, depending on the person, I will talk to them about clearing, centering, and balancing their energy, and about the higher self and what that means, and connecting to the higher self. And this is basically what I tell them. But I always clarify or make it clear that this is only a starting point. So where I started, when somebody taught me how to, it was a Psychic 1 class, but it was really meditation. It was about how to meditate. And so it was just a foundation, a starting place. And then as soon as I started doing meditations regularly, then I kind of changed it as I was guided, which was appropriate for me. And so this is just a starting place for anybody. It's not etched in any kind of stone. You don't have to do it this way. But this is just a place for people to start who have never meditated, or maybe just some ideas for them, how to build on or transition or change what they're doing. So I was taught how to just bring in light energy through the crown and ground in Mother Earth. And within a couple weeks, I just felt that wasn't appropriate. That wasn't right for me to ground myself in Mother Earth and then kind of drop all my negative energy into Mother Earth, because I felt like I was filling Mother Earth up with my baggage. And so I started seeing this vision as I was bringing in the light. I saw the light come in, and it went down through me, and then it went down through the bottom of Mother Earth, and it dropped out all that negative energy out into the universe. And it just would be the equivalent of like a drop of oil in all the oceans on Mother Earth. So that one drop of oil or anything toxic in all of the oceans of Mother Earth, considering they were all clean, let's just say, would eventually dissipate into nothingness. It would be harmless, right? That's the same thing with energy. I see myself clearing my energy with that light and dropping it out into the universe for divinity, the source, to transmute into something positive and beautiful. And so I saw this, I just started seeing this spinning round thing, and I should have had this ready before I started the video, but it was it's a torsion field. And so I'll do a picture-in-picture for this. And I didn't know it was a torsion field. About 3 years later, I showed it this graphic I found on a website online, and I downloaded it because I was like, that's what I see when I meditate, and I was so excited, and I just downloaded it because it was a visual graphic that I could show people of what I saw. So 3 years later, I met this gentleman out of the blue at this place I was at, just like camping. And he said, you know what that is, right? And I'm like, no. And he goes, it's a torsion field, a torus. And I was like, oh, what's a torus? And so I see myself on the earth. This is my beautiful drawing. I always envision myself, I used to envision myself standing on the top of Mother Earth, even though I almost always lay down when I'm meditating. So this is me actually laying down, but I visualize myself standing on top of Mother Earth. And I bring in that light energy through my crown, and I see it just like a plane of light. So a plane is any flat surface with at least 3 points. So this piece of paper is just a plane. So I see that plane of light coming down through me, right? And just it hits every part of me, and it just kind of shoves out all the negative energy that I'm holding on to. And then it goes through Mother Earth and out into the universe, okay? And so I always draw this for people, this light energy coming down into me and into Mother Earth, okay? So it comes down into the light, comes down and through my crown, down through Mother Earth, and down into the universe, the space below us. And then you'll see these little drops of negative energy going out into the universe, right? And then and they dissipate out into the universe, universal source, universal energy, and then we have that nice, light, clean, good light energy coming in, cycling back around to the top and going through me and clearing my energy. So see how that light energy is transmuted into positive energy, and it's just cycling around. And that's this right here, okay? So, there's several things that are really important to note. Is one, that light energy is cycling through me and clearing my energy and clearing Mother Earth of negative energy and attachments, dropping them out into the universe for Divinity, the source, to transmute into something positive and beautiful. And then that positive, beautiful light comes back around and clears me and Mother Earth. So also, this is not a two-dimensional thing. It's a three-dimensional. It's easier to see on this graphic, but it's three-dimensional, so it's not only going down through me, but it's going around me. Okay, so I'm protecting this, I'm creating this protective field around me. So I have this light energy coming down through me, clearing out and off any negative energy or attachments. And then I also have this energy surrounding me, top to bottom, left to right, front to back, all the way around, creating a protective field around me, okay? And so I always talk to people about using this graphic and this visual as a tool to not only clear, center, and balance your energy, but also to create a protective field around you. So being highly, highly empathic, and always being highly empathic and not knowing it, I had a lot of depression, anxiety when I was younger. And because it wasn't only my own emotions I was dealing with and my own traumas, let's say in my 20s, that I was dealing with, but anytime somebody came around me, their energy was moving into my energy field, so I was taking on their negative energy. And I was completely overwhelmed. So I'm taking all this medication, trying to control it. And I was constantly at this, I guess, my homeostatic state was a mild level of depression, I would say, throughout most of my life. But it wasn't until I learned how to clear, center, and balance my energy and protect it that I just didn't need any of that stuff, and I didn't feel depressed. And even if I was struggling, all I would do is bring that light in and surround myself with light energy, and those emotions wouldn't have profound effects on me. And like I said, as humans, emotional beings with the depth and breadth of emotions, we are going to move in and out of that centered state. We're going to move to the positive and the negative, right? We're going to be moving fluidly through that. That's all about the flow of energy. But the skill and the mastery comes in identifying those movements out of center and being able to move yourself back into center, okay? And that's why when I talk about the special forces guys, how there is this incredible mastery of that emotion. Once they start moving out of center, they've had to put themselves back in the center. They've had to move themselves back in the center. They've had to find a way to control those emotions so they don't get the best of them. And so they have an incredible skill. That's an incredible skill that they have. And so I don't know if anybody ever taught them this, but this is the tool I use to help me move myself back into center. As soon as I start moving out, well, it's what I used to use, but now I do things a little bit differently, but I do often go back to this. I do often go back to this depending on the circumstance. But this is a tool to help you clear, center, and balance your energy, protect your energy, and then also move yourself back into center. I'm going to say that this section right here in the center, that's darkest, it's like a donut, right? You look at this and it seems like a donut, but really that center isn't empty. That center is actually the strongest part of the light energy. It's the strongest place the strongest field of energy. And I used to see this. So I feel like everybody needs to walk their path, and I'm giving you a tool to help you start on your path. You can use it or you can completely discard it. But one of the things that I realized is this light energy isn't coming through me. It's not coming from an outside source. It's in me. It's within me. And so when I look at this dark part in the middle, that's me in the middle. And that light energy is in my heart. It's emanating from my heart, and it's moving up and down from me. So even though this looks like something separate from me, it's actually part of me. So when I started being raised Catholic and seeing God or this energy, this divine energy is something separate from me, I saw this light energy as coming into me, okay? Separate from me and then moving into me. But at this point, I realized that this light energy is within me. It's part of me. It is me. And so I realized that light source is coming out up through me and down through the bottom of my feet. And I use that light source to connect with all things. Okay. And so as I do, I still clear the negative energy and attachments from myself and Mother Earth using light source energy coming down through me. But the complexity of understanding the flow of energy and the interconnectedness of all things is more than I can explain in this moment. I would have to have a separate video for that. But just so you understand, I just want to start you with a tool to help you clear your energy of negative energy and attachments, clear your physical person. You can also use this to clear your space like I do. Don't drop your negative energy into Mother Earth. We're clearing also Mother Earth of any negative energy and attachments, and we're allowing that source energy or God, divinity, however you want to refer to it, we're allowing that energy to come in and transmute that negative energy into positive energy, and then cycling it back around to clear us and also to protect our energy field. I also have talked to parents about how to protect their children. And children are heavily fortified and protected naturally, but you can move this light energy through and around your child the same way you move it through and around you. You just visualize it, and the second that you visualize it, it's there. So I often also say to people, like, you can have a negative energy, a demon, let's just say, sitting right here or even right here. And if you have that protective field up, it can't touch you. It can't get into that positive love and light energy. It can sit here and make all the faces and scream and yell and threaten you all at once, but it can't permeate that love and light energy. Okay? And that's very important to know. But one of the most important things to know, if you're using this as a tool, is that you have to trust and believe that this protects you. You have to trust and believe that this clears your energy, it centers your energy, and it balances your energy. You have to believe that it protects your energy. Okay? If you don't, your consciousness creates your reality, so you have to believe that this is a tool to help you on your journey, on your path of meditation, whatever you use it for. So the essential part is believing and trusting in this as a tool. Okay. I don't want to get too far into that, so I'm just going to leave that there, and maybe if I think about it, I'll add something in the next video. So give me a second. So one of the things that came in this week that's very difficult for me to address or not address, I don't know how to look at it, is when I watch shows, or when I read, or when I walk past people, or the different information that comes in, different things that I'm exposed to. What I know is that there are a lot of energies walking around with that people think are wearing white hats, and this is just the paradigm that we're using today, so I'm just going to say it. People who are walking around with white hats who are actually wearing black hats. And on the same token, there's people with black hats who are actually white hats. And I said in the last video that people need to kind of withdraw from those roles and be who they truly are. Because right now is the time of separation from those roles. And I think one of the hard things that people are dealing with regards to that, because I think a lot of people who are very connected can feel that. They can feel it's time to move. But one of the things that make that decision difficult is that the second that these people pull out of these roles, they won't be getting access to certain information. And so that makes them a little vulnerable. But also, I think once these people start stepping out of these roles, the infrastructure that we have is going to start crumbling faster. And people are trying to prevent that from coming. And one of the most difficult messages I got this week was that that's going to happen. You can't prevent it. There's no stopping the inevitable. And we are living out revelation. I know maybe people think that's absurd or they don't believe it. But if you read Revelation, there's going to be some devastating things that happen. And we're on the cusp of that. And I think people are trying to reduce that from happening. The problem is that in doing that, you're actually facilitating it. When you try to control transcendence, when you try to control the outcome, you are not trusting in the divine source, in the flow of energy, in what's meant to be. And you're prolonging it. And you are exacerbating it. So as I'm watching some of these shows, I can see it. Paradigms being played out. I see people on TV who are actually hybrid children who are running the agendas of I would say their dominant DNA. Let's just say that dominant ET DNA. And I'm going to refer to that as ET because as the second you start running an agenda on Earth, you're not moving what I would call in the way of a being of love and light who is trying not to intervene and allowing the flow of energy to happen. And I would say specifically the Zeta Reticuli energy. They're trying to find a different way to influence humanity. Since this cabal, this negative energy, is going to fail with their plan, the paradigm that they're trying to create, the reality they're trying to create on this world. Those failing cabal energies are going to move out into this and become the Zeta Reticuli. So now this Zeta Reticuli energy is coming back and trying to manipulate the humanity in a different way, in a more subtle way. And I'm not going to say how or who these hybrid children are. Also remember that the Zeta Reticuli move their consciousness from one energy, one body, one gray body to another, but it doesn't have to be a gray body. It could be a cloned body, okay? And so that's what people need to understand, is there's still intense manipulation happening right now. And the only way to be sure that you are trusting in the right things is, first of all, to connect to the higher self and connect to the divine and listen to the messages from the higher self, the guidance from the higher self. That is your most clear connection, and to your path and purpose and to truth. If you're looking outside of that for guidance, then you're looking in the wrong place. And the best way to make sure that you are have a clear connection is to maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy. Okay? You have to maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy, so you make sure you have a clear connection with that higher self, and that the information that you have coming in is true. Okay? You are your own best guide, and you have to make that connection and trust. You cannot listen at this point right now to other people and expect to always have 100% truth. There's a lot of half-truths, 75% truth, 25% truth, but the only absolute truth comes from inside, comes from that connection to the higher self. I will tell you from my feeling intuitively, the only white hats, true white hats, would be the Canadian truck drivers and the truck drivers in the United States. Right now, the cleanest and clearest energy coming from the most sincere place, from love, compassion, empathy for the people and for this world, are coming from these groups. And I'll just say, I lived on a big truck for about a year, and it's a very interesting subculture. And some people in this world can only be who they are. They can't be anything else. And if you can't appreciate the authenticity of someone for what it is, then I'm sad for you. But I actually enjoyed that year traveling coast to coast. And also, driving in those big trucks gives you a different perspective. When you're really high on the road and you're looking out at the United States as you drive down the roads, I've been through almost every state, you get a completely different perspective of this country. And so living from truck stop to truck stop, eating, showering, everything on the road, it's very interesting. The long haul truckers, And so I'll just wanted to share that experience, but also just say that I think the whitest hats are being worn by those Canadian and American truckers. I would also like to say that anybody pushing a paradigm, a political paradigm, an economic paradigm, holding on to those old ways, I would question. Because what we know is the current political paradigm is playing against liberal and conservative, right? What we see going on in our schools is very scary. The indoctrination of our children in kindergarten, which Governor DeSantis is fighting against, which I will honor him in that fight. The idea of cryptocurrency, they're pushing people to buy gold and silver because the economy is going to crash, and this agenda of fear and directing people to a certain type of currency away from the dollar or paper money to this electronic or online currency. That's an agenda, that's a paradigm. They're shifting the paradigm from paper money to this electronic money, okay? And they're doing it through fear. Your dollars aren't going to be worth anything, so buy this. That paradigm that's being pushed is part of an agenda. So if you are trusting in somebody else's agenda, you're not trusting in the divine source. You're not trusting God. You're not trusting the flow of energy, because there is a divine plan being executed right now. And if you read Revelation, it tells you what that plan is. So I would encourage you to start teasing things out, breaking things up, looking at all parts, all sides, not just one side or the other, because I'm telling you, I'm trying to impress upon you that there are good and bad people in the liberal side. There are good and bad people on the conservative side. There are good and bad people everywhere. And you must be able to find a way to discern for yourself what energies are supporting the transition of Mother Earth as a whole, not the United States, not Europe, not Asia, not any one country, but aiding in the transition of the planet and bringing us together as a people. That is what this is about right now. And I don't see a lot of that. And that's probably the most difficult messages that came in this week, was all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but coming more to the front, was seeing these energies and knowing where they come from and knowing their intentions. And even though some of the information might be good that's coming from them, it's part of an agenda that's being played out. And what I've found is I can't say this person is doing this, that person is doing that, they're not good, they're bad. I can't point that out to everybody, because everybody's living a different truth from a different foundation, from a different experience, and from a different paradigm. And so sometimes I'll say stuff that people do not want to hear, and it goes completely against what their beliefs are, because they've committed to a paradigm, and it's off-putting. And then also the message comes in is that it's not your job to change their mind. It's not your job to tell people or identify the darkness or the light. or the positive and the negative, the hurt from the good, right? It's not my job. I just give the tools for people to be able to discern for themselves what they will trust in, what they will believe in. And then from those choices and from their consciousness, they determine their paths. Whether they will remain here on earth, incarnate on earth, or move to the Cepheus constellation to incarnate there. Okay? That's very difficult. So, I had the beings in the water and the raptors keep coming in, and I got some personal information intuitively that they said that these certain changes have to happen for you to walk your path and purpose. Or to walk your path and fulfill your purpose. And there's just so much information coming in that I really don't want to talk about. We're just in a really precarious place, a volatile place. And the most important thing I can encourage people to do is maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy, trust in the divine and the flow of energy, put out love and light energy, compassion, kindness, tolerance out into the world, to people that you see on the street, to animals, to strangers in stores. Just put out loving energy to all things around you and wait for that energy to create it, to come back to you. It will protect you. But if you are coming from a negative place, from a material plane place, then, and if you're not ready to release the paradigms of this world that have been created, then I feel a lot of concern. I just can't encourage you enough to maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy, and put out positive, loving thoughts, and trust in the flow of energy coming back to you. Look at what's going on in the world from a higher perspective. Show love and compassion. Share love and light energy with those experiences, with people going through those experiences. Put protective fields around them. Whatever you want. But make sure that you understand that there's a difference between your path and their path. And it's their job to determine what their path and purpose is, to maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy, and to drive forward from the heart center. Just like that is my and your obligation. And I don't know what else I can say other than that at this time. So when I connect, not today, but right now actually, but also in the past week, I was connecting with the beings in the water and the raptors, and the beings in the water were showing me how they control the water to filter out what they don't want coming in certain areas, and it's very easy for them to do that. I guess they have certain energies can like create black holes and jump, but they also showed me that they can prevent any. They didn't get into the details of how they do it, but they were like, we can prevent that from happening, from them coming into our space that way. And And then the raptors were, I was a little upset because I had said, even if you've been into the raptor area, if you don't come in from a place of love, if you can't enter their energy field and know their intentions and who they are, you should not go into their space. And even if you've been there before, if you went into that space from a place of fear or insecurity, then you should not go back. And because right now we're coming to we're from a different place. All the paradigms are shifting, so all the relationships are changing. So old relationships aren't going to be, they knew what your intentions were back then, but they were being diplomatic. At this point, they know what your intentions are. They don't want you in their space, and they're waiting for the new energy to come in to re-engage them. And so what they showed me was people who were coming from that old paradigm coming in, and that there were consequences. They showed them coming in under the guise of a white bird, and then what I saw was the white bird was dead. And so because they knew that that was a guise, there was no sincerity behind that white purity and innocence, that message of purity and innocence. They could see right through it. And that saddens me. So I don't want to keep going. I'll just say this was a very difficult week. And I'll just reiterate that the truck drivers in Canada, what they started, and the truck drivers in the United States are the whitest hats on the planet right now. The whitest. They have the whitest hats. And maintaining clear, centered, and balanced energy in this time is of the utmost importance. And I'll just say, there cannot be any new beginnings without endings. And so right now we're going through an ending and walking into a birth, a new beginning. So I'll just say happy Easter and thank you.